we talk about this whole voting thing, some of them make it sound like it's so easy. They like, just why don't people go out and vote? Like, why? It's not that simple, right? When you come from a neighborhood or area where you just feel like people don't care, right? You just see the same stuff over and over. That's where you have that feeling of like, why does my vote matter? But I think my plea and why I ask people to meet us at the ballots is because sometimes you have to do things to see the change, right? And I think this is one of those things. Well, I know this is one of those things. Like, our power is in the community, right? If we get more and more people out to vote, you will see a change.
Real Talk is about highlighting real issues with real conversations to create real solutions.
Hi, everyone. I'm Angela Rye, and I have the great privilege and honor of having a conversation about voting today. Joining us are Baratunde Thurston, who is the host of How to Citizen with Baratunde, and none other than Chris Paul, who is the president of the National Basketball Players Association and co-chair of Michelle Obama's When We All Vote. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey.
What's happening? Thanks for having us.
Go get the real Chris from the State Farm commercials.
Relax.
It's called Real Talk, so we've got to keep it real.
Keep it real.
Okay. I want to jump into just one of the basics. What are some of the issues that are top of mind to you all?
There's a sort of a bigger issue that I'm really wrestling with and focused on, which is the whole idea of democracy and this idea of citizen power that we should have and a system that should respond to us that's simply not doing it right now.
Chris, from your vantage point, what are some issues that are top of mind for you?
Yeah, I think the top of mind issue for me is the education aspect of it, right? It's because the climate of like the world right now, our culture, and I think the education piece is something that is so crucial. You know, as we talk about systemic racism, we talk about voting, and the younger generation gotta understand their power. The people have to know. They have to know what voting really is.
Chris, we know that you're an education advocate. For anybody that paid attention to the NBA Finals, you were repping a different HBCU before every single game. And I think that's super important. But part of that takes us right into something else we really need to address today. And those are the barriers related to our political enfranchisement, our political engagement, the way that we choose to engage with the system or protest the system, and really deciding as a collective, as a community, what's really actually served us. All of those things fall squarely in the laps of the elected officials and the appointed officials that, by the way, guys, we pay whether we go and vote for them or not.
We live in this system where we got a lot of these politicians running around like we're lucky. No, they're the lucky ones. They get to work for us. They get to represent us. And we are their employers, literally. And I love this idea that you've reminded me of. We pay for them, whether we vote or not, whether we are able to vote for not. They still work for all of us.
When we talk about an agenda, when we talk about demands, that is basically their job description.
No question.
These are the things that we're saying you need to do to be able to perform well in your job, just like if we had someone working for us.
But see, this is the thing too, and I think that's what especially like the younger generation gotta understand, is they gotta understand their power. Their power, like the power of community. Like there's power in unity and community, right?
Chris, given the fact that you're technically an elected official, talk about an example where you've had to meet the interests of the folks who voted for you, the players, as well as interfacing with the owners and the commissioner.
It's been an unbelievable road, journey, lesson. Like you get a chance to learn so much because we have 450 players in our league, right? So there's all these different interests. Like what benefits this guy might not necessarily benefit that guy, but in the role, you have to do what's best for the whole, right? For the entire league. And to navigate some of those, there are a lot of hard conversations that have to be had, but they're necessary. It's my duty because it's a position of service, right? So when I took this position as the president of the union, you quickly understand that a lot of guys are dependent on you. I think that's the biggest thing that I learned in this position over the years is that guys trust you and they depend on you to make the right decisions.
If there's anyone who is trying to make it more difficult for you to go exercise your franchise, that's too many words for voting. Anyone who's trying to make it too difficult for you to vote, how do they deserve our support?
They don't. And I want to try a couple different ways to explain what this voter suppression thing is about. One, if someone is going out of their way to make it harder for you to exercise your constitutional right to vote, it's because they're afraid of your power. Ask the question, why are they putting in so much work to make it harder for you to claim your power? It's because they're afraid of you. It's because they know how much power you have, especially when you come together with other people. And they want us to feel like we're alone and isolated. But when we come together, community, like Chris said, we have even more power. The second idea on this voter suppression thing, if you are going to try to reduce the number of people who vote, you're not really a patriot. That's not really what America's supposed to be about. We're supposed to be about one person, one vote, market competition, let the best ideas rise to the top. And when you make it harder for someone else to vote, you're cheating and you're saying you're afraid of a fair fight. So we should go into this season, every season, understanding not that we're victims of voter suppression, but that someone recognizes the power we have and they're so afraid of the tenets of the country they claim to want to lead that they're willing to undermine them. Ain't that something?
That's real.
That's a word.
Seriously, my job as a parent is to make sure that my kids are more informed on these different types of things, because I think we try to put too much responsibility on the schools to teach, right? But they're not teaching this thing. They're not teaching who our real heroes are and the people who paved the way so we could have these different freedoms and vote. And as much as I hate to do it, I gotta give you a huge shout out because you educated me a lot on voter suppression.
You hate to do it?
Yeah, but I'm gonna do it.
Sad.
I'm gonna do it, but the thing is, with me joining When We All Vote, right, it really opened my eyes to all of the different things that take place on a regular basis to try and make sure that we don't vote.
History was made in 2008 when America elected its first Black president. I don't know if y'all know, but a couple of years after that, there were laws put on the books called voter ID, which ensured that people would have to show identification to cast ballots. There were laws passed that would, or legislation passed that would cut early voting days, that made it harder to vote absentee. Well, now there's even some efforts to make voting by mail more difficult. What are some of the best ways when you're already discouraged? I'm sure some of the young folks who are watching this are already like, I don't know if my vote counts. And if they're gonna make it so hard, like I don't have the energy and don't feel like I know my power well enough to fight back against all of that.
You can get a chance to vote once, right? And I'll just tell you real quickly my voting experience. I went with my parents, right? My parents used to go vote, and then I never forget the first time that I actually got a chance to vote. It really made me feel like an adult, right? And I think once you get that first time of voting and feeling a part of something bigger than you, then hopefully you're hooked.
Voting is a good high. I love that, Chris. That's a healthy natural high, and we all have access to it. I think, this idea of working in teams comes naturally to you, Chris, no surprise, but it makes a lot of sense. And if we take voting as one expression of a range of political power, it's not the only one, but it's very important and it's coming up pretty quickly, then we approach it as something that's critical to our survival, and we make it fun. Some friends, are basically taking this ballot and making it kind of a game and making it a challenge. Okay, you tackle the judges, you tackle these propositions, you tackle those, and split it up and then come back. It's like a group project. It's like I'm back in school again, but the success isn't a letter grade. It's like I get more power. That's way better than a grade.
Dr. King once defined power as the ability to achieve purpose. When you think about the power in exercising our right to vote, what's the thing that you would tell a young person who has never voted before? And maybe this one comment that you make to them, all the pressure, is going to help them decide whether or not they register, which we need them to do like yesterday.
I think the feeling that you get when you vote and you see that the person that you supported won, right? Like there's no feeling like that, seriously.
Chris, it sounds like you might be a little competitive, true or false?
Just a little bit.
Baratunde, what about you?
I can understand someone who looks at this current system, which has never invested in them, which is in fact divested from them, and looks at that whole system and says, what is it for me in that system? There is nothing for me there. There is truth to that, and I don't want to deny someone's feelings of that because I think they're legitimate. And I get angry about it too. We owe it to ourselves to have a more complicated understanding of our power. Protest is power. Money is power. Sharing ideas is power. And voting is one of these tangible forms of power.
When we think about the power of our ancestors who preceded us, their fight was in going to cast the vote. It wasn't staying away from the ballot box. We're going to be somebody's ancestors one day. And what will they say to us and about us if our protest was making their ability to be a part of the system and to be protected by a system that has never really served us? But we had the ability to change that. What will they say about us if that's not what we do?
I think they might be, as my mother used to say to me, disappointed. And it's not out of a spirit of shaming. It's out of a spirit of love and intergenerational commitment. Because of them, we can, right? I'm only here because somebody else stayed in it.
If you can take a moment to speak to folks who are eligible to vote, who can register right now, who can go out and cast ballots right now, what will you say to them to get in the game?
Sometimes you have to do things to see the change. Our power is in the community, right? If we get more and more people out to vote, you will see a change. My biggest plea is to not sit down and be like, my vote doesn't count. Because the more you say that in a room full of your friends or whoever that is, the more that seeps into their minds. So we gotta believe that we can change this. And that last thing I'll say, and I'll be done with it. And the reason why I'm so passionate about it and why I've committed all this time into this is because even if I don't get a chance to see the change that I want to, my kids will benefit from it. And their friends, they'll start to see the power of community and doing things together and making sure that their voices are heard and that their vote counts.
That's my president right there. I'm not in the league, but that's my president. I like that.
Appreciate it.
I think I want people to connect with those naysaying voices that they come across, especially on social media, and to try not to listen to those voices. Listen instead to yourself. Listen to that part of you that knows you matter, that knows you're worth it. But there's another way to think about this, which is, what do you want your world to look like? What do you want your block to look like? What do you want your home to feel like? How do you want your school to make you feel? How do you want that job to provide? And whatever the answer to that question is, there is a path from your dreams and your hopes and your wishes to where you sit or where you stand right now. And through that path, it's powered by you. It's your power that gets you from where you sit to where you want to be. And we have this rich opportunity, this clear, not right, left, but right, wrong opportunity for ourselves to come together and exercise power and take a step toward the world that we want, that we dream of, that we imagine, that we deserve. It's a commitment on behalf of ourselves and the people that helped us get here and the people we're helping get here after us, that we took a step in the direction of justice, of freedom for all. And as much as this place wants us to feel less than, we can read the writings on the wall there for us too. Liberty and justice for all, and that includes you. So claim it. It's yours. It's not a favor someone's doing you. It's literally your birthright.
Man, Baratunde 2024, y'all. What? You killed it. Off the top of the dome, all the bars. I love you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Love y'all.
Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate it.
Stay tuned for the next episode of Jordan Real Talk.